Donna Reed was a successful and acclaimed actress of Hollywood's golden age, being known for her roles on both the silver screen in films like It's a Wonderful Life and her roles on television. On television, she became known for starring in The Donna Reed Show, a namesake sitcom that ran between the 1950s and 1960s. She played Donna Stone, a housewife in a suburban nuclear family. Before her career entertaining audiences across America, Donna Reed was born Donna Belle Mullinger on January 27, 1921, in the Midwest small town of Denison, Iowa, which had over 3,000 residents when she was born. Donna was born on a farm in the southeast portion of the town to a father named William Richard Mullinger and a mother named Hazel Jean Shives, who was William's first wife. Donna's father was a veteran of World War I. Reed was the oldest of 5 children, and she was raised along with her siblings. Reed would have routine chores such as feeding chickens and milking cows. As the oldest child, Reed would begin displaying early maternal-like traits as she expressed care and supervision for her younger siblings. Donna Reed and her younger siblings would be raised as Methodist Christians. Donna would attend primary school in a little red schoolhouse that was in close proximity to her farm home. During her childhood, she won a state fair blue ribbon for some fresh homemade biscuits she baked and prepared. She was also a member of the 4-H organization, which helps develop and educate the youth so they can have leadership, independent, and high ethical skills and capabilities. Donna Reed and her family had difficulty living through the Great Depression, which took onset when Reed was 8 years old. The family, after long days, would spend time together reading books and singing songs. Reed would first receive significant exposure to film when her parents took Reed and her siblings into downtown Denison on rare occasions to view films. She began idolizing film stars such as Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. She began her time at Denison High School in 1934. While in her sophomore year of high school, she was given a book by her chemistry teacher Ed Tompkins titled, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The book, which is a book authored by Dale Carnegie that gives advice on getting optimal results in social interactions through different techniques, played a major impact on the career trajectory of Donna Reed. Tompkins, who was also raised on a farm like Reed, bestowed the book to her because of her evident awkward and timid nature in school caused by her being raised differently than her peers. Ed Tompkins is quoted saying about Donna after she rose to stardom, I saw in Donna a bright and intelligent girl, and sensed that underneath her shyness there was a natural charm. Tompkins took Reed under his wing, encouraging her to overcome her shy nature by engaging in school activities.
Well, I urged her to get acquainted with other people and to find out what their interests were and try to forget her own troubles and problems, and in that way that perhaps she could overcome some of her shyness.
Following Tompkins' advice, Reed began taking part in speech contests with the debate team and joined theater to begin acting in school plays. She soon began taking lead roles in some productions. Reed would credit Tompkins as a major influence in her life when asked about the influences in her life after becoming a famous actress. She kept in touch with Tompkins, who departed from teaching at Denison High School before Reed graduated. She became popular at school and eventually was elected as the homecoming queen. Reed would graduate from Denison High School in 1938. She was among the top 10 in academic success in the school her senior year. Reed had originally planned on becoming a teacher upon graduating high school. Unfortunately, Reed and her parents could not afford to send her to college. This was still during the Great Depression, and a majority of the country was in poor finances. Upon the insistence of her Aunt Midlard, who had lived in California, Reed enrolled at Los Angeles City College, a community college located in Eastern Hollywood. Attending this school was much more affordable for Reed, with the institution only requiring a $5 student fee each semester. In 2025, this would be equivalent to about $112. At 17 years old, she left family in Iowa and headed to the Pacific coast of the United States. During her time as a student, she participated in a beauty contest and became a member of the drama department at her college. She was awarded as campus queen in December 1940 at the age of 19 after winning a beauty contest. Her accomplishment would be displayed in local newspapers such as the Los Angeles Times. Reed states that winning the beauty contest had changed her life. Reed attested that she would have been a college professor if it wasn't for that. Reed being featured in newspapers would bring her significant notoriety in the area. In the drama department, she would participate in many stage productions, though at this time, she still had no intentions of pursuing an acting career, merely seeing acting as a hobby at the time. She pursued a potential career as a secretary at Los Angeles City College, participating in the secretary program at the college. She would study the skills of stenography and office efficiency in the program. Though on stage, she would be an eye-catching actress to talent scouts for film production companies due to her looks and acting skills. She subsequently began receiving numerous offers from different studios to do screen tests. She decided to sign a 7-year contract with the film company Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM for short, in 1941. A 20-year-old Reed insisted to MGM that she complete her full commitment to Los Angeles City College. She was given a salary of $75 per week. Jeffrey Mark, a pop culture historian, remarked that Reed just fit the MGM prototype of the not-too-tall Midwestern Protestant girl next door. She was deemed to be a great fit for the studio. MGM decided that they did not like her birth name, Donna Belle Mullinger, which she was known by people solely as up until this time, being used professionally, so they changed her name on 2 occasions. With her name first being billed as Donna Adams for her first speaking on-screen role in the 1941 B-movie drama crime film titled The Getaway. Reed co-starred alongside Robert Sterling. She played Maria Teresa O'Reilly, the sister of criminal Sonny Black, and served as the romantic interest. Before this first credited flick, Donna made many uncredited appearances in films before gaining significant notability in Tinseltown. She would make an uncredited appearance in the 1940 film titled The Convicted Woman. She would make additional uncredited film appearances in the films Babes on Broadway and Personalities, in 1941 and 1942, respectively. Also, in 1941, she would appear in the 4th film in the Thin Man film series, titled Shadow of the Thin Man. She would play the role of a supporting character named Molly. MGM would soon rename her again at one point to her most recognizable name, Donna Reed. The studio felt they could perfectly mold and promote her as an innocent girl next door. She would take diction and choreography classes courtesy of the studio to improve her skills. In 1943, Reed would marry William Tuttle, a renowned makeup artist in Hollywood who worked on hundreds of films. He was once the leader of the makeup department at MGM. Tuttle first took notice of a young Reed after her performance in The Getaway. Tuttle stated that he thought that she was delightful because of the naturalness that was so much a part of her. Their relationship grew in secret, becoming a surprise to many when the two became engaged. Their marriage would be brief, ending in a divorce in January of 1945. Reed would soon remarry to Tony Owen, an agent and producer who had worked with Reed, in June 1945. According to Mary Ann Owen, their daughter, Tony Owen had said that he knew he had to marry Donna Reed the moment he laid his eyes on her. Their marriage would last much longer, lasting over 2 decades. The couple would parent a total of 4 children, 2 they had adopted, and 2 they had biologically. The 2 oldest children were adopted. They were a daughter named Penny Jane and a son named Tony Jr. Reed later gave birth to a son and daughter named Timothy and Mary Ann, respectively. When World War II broke out and the U.S. became involved, Donna's acting career began to thrive, as many male actors were out of the country at the time. This led to more female-centric roles for Donna to pursue and act in. She would have roles in many films in the following years, including Calling Dr. Gillespie, The Human Comedy, Private Hargrove, They Were Expendable, and The Picture of Dorian Gray between 1942 and 1946. She acted alongside big names in the film industry such as Angela Lansbury, Mickey Rooney, Robert Montgomery, and John Wayne. It was revealed long after her death by her daughter Mary in 2003 that Donna had saved over 350 letters sent to her by World War II soldiers during World War II. She kept them in a container in her residence's garage. Reed was known to assist in aiding the soldiers during the war while she was in the United States. Some of this aid was Reed selling war bonds to people to raise money for the government's war efforts. Reed also would perform at the Hollywood Canteen, a sanctuary for soldiers established in October 1942 that operated until November 22, 1945. It served as a free venue exclusively for those soldiers, serving food and providing live shows where they were allowed to dance. In its 3-year run, it saw more than 3 million more patrons. The soldiers who wrote to Reed were exposed to her through movies she was featured in being played to them while stationed. They also saw her in pin-up photos of her sent to the troops to boost their morale. Some soldiers who sent Reed letters asked for her autograph or disclosed their personal internal feelings they had. Some reportedly even sent simple sketches they drew to Reed. After the war, Reed would have one of her most memorable and iconic roles in the film It's a Wonderful Life, which was limitedly released to theaters in the winter of 1946. Reed would be secured by director Frank Capra on a loan that Capra had claimed from Reed and Capra's mutual studio, MGM. It was released nationwide on January 7, 1947. Reed played Mary Hatch Bailey, the wife of protagonist George Bailey, played by acclaimed actor Jimmy Stewart. The Christmas-oriented film, which was considered a box office bomb during its initial release, soon gained a massive positive following in the aftermath of its release, going on to become one of the most popular and revered films in American cinematic history. Though it only generated $3.3 million on a film budget of $3.2 million, it is ranked by the American Film Institute as the 20th greatest American film of all time. It is considered to have a timeless multitude of themes in love, purpose, faith, and sacrifice, just to name a few. Donna Reed received the role after fellow actresses such as Jean Arthur, Olivia de Havilland, and Ginger Rogers were initially considered. Jean Arthur had worked with the film's starring actor on previous occasions. She was ruled out due to being ill. Despite the near-future success of the picture, co-star Jimmy Stewart had an increasingly estranging relationship with Reed due to the underperforming box office numbers and high tension on set with the cast and crew during production. Reed, in an interview, stated, "This was not a happy set. These guys were very tense." Stewart personally had vivid feelings that the film wasn't going to be a success when they were filming. Some have attributed Stewart's temperament and insecurity to be due to post-traumatic stress disorder from serving in World War II. He was grounded for said mental condition in February 1945. It was reportedly thought by Stewart that the film underperformed due to Reed's lack of star power at the time, according to Reed's daughter Mary Ann. Reed and Stewart never acted in a film together after It's a Wonderful Life. Reed would continue to make a name for herself in the acting world, acting in various films in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Some of these films included the 1947 film Green Dolphin Street where she played Marguerite Pitoral, 1948's Beyond Glory with co-star Alan Ladd where she portrayed love-struck widow Ann Daniels, the 1951 sports film Saturday Hero where she portrayed Melissa, and the 1953 film Trouble Along the Way, once again co-starring with John Wayne, playing Alice Singleton, a probationary officer turned love interest for the protagonist of the film. She had switched studios during the 1940s, signing a deal to work for Columbia Pictures in 1948 and ending her less than a decade tenure with MGM. Feeling typecasted into roles of innocent love interests, she decided to take the role of a morally ambiguous woman of the night named Alma Burke, who goes by Laureen in the 1953 film From Here to Eternity, which included an ensemble cast alongside Reed. Reed's character develops a genuine relationship in the film for Montgomery Clift's character Robert E. Lee Pruitt in the film. The film was a commercial success, being one of the most profitable films of the year. For her role, Reed won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress at the 26th Academy Awards. Her co-star, famous crooner, and actor Frank Sinatra also won the award for Best Supporting Actor. The role opened Reed to even more acting opportunities and fortune, though Reed once remarked that she was never again offered a part that she perceived as of that high of a caliber. Reed would continue to make supporting appearances in B films in the following years as benevolent and charming characters. Examples include playing the role of Laurie McKay, a compassionate niece of an old Western military post commander in the 1954 film They Rode West. She would play Laurie Maston, the former fiancée and continued love interest of the film's protagonist Jim Guthrie in the 1954 Western film 3 Hours to Kill. Reed played the historical figure Sacagawea in the 1955 film The Three Horizons, based loosely on the Lewis and Clark expeditions. The film depicts a historically inaccurate romantic relationship between Sacagawea and explorer William Clark. Growing unfulfilled with film work, Reed decided to cease her current Columbia Pictures contract and to pursue acting as a free agent. In a 1964 interview, Reed stated her feeling on how actresses were given shallow roles, stating, "It's a lousy profession for a woman. Being an actress turns you into a looking-glass girl, always absorbed in how you look. Always self, self, self." Donna would then sign a deal to work with Universal Pictures after leaving Columbia Pictures. She would make her debut appearance with the film studio as Alice Hammond opposite Steve Allen in the 1956 film titled The Benny Goodman Story. The relationship with Universal soon ended due to a spoiling relationship Reed had with Universal over the treatment she was receiving from them. Donna Reed and her husband Tony Owen would then ambitiously establish their own production company called Totten Productions in 1956. This was reportedly done with the intention of Reed gaining more independence from film studios. Totten would serve as a production company for the 1957 film set in Kenya called Beyond Mombasa. It was distributed by Columbia Pictures. Donna Reed would have a starring role in the film next to Cornell Wilde, who played Matt Campbell, the love interest of Reed's character, Ann Wilson. Reed's character happens to be the niece of the film's surprise antagonist, Ralph, played by actor Leo Jen. The film received mixed to negative reviews, with Bosley Crowther, a critic from the New York Times, deeming the film as a routine African adventure film, and childish, in a May 1957 review of the film. Donna and Tony felt the need to shift their work and primary attention to the growing medium of television, so they began stirring ideas for a new television show. The couple were struck with many different female-led potential shows to consider, such as a show about a woman who specialized in providing advice and insight to people when it came to betting on horses, a show about a female bullfighter, a show centered on the wife of a diplomat who travels around the world, and a show about a woman who operated as an elevator operator at the Empire State Building. The idea that was suggested by an executive at the production company Screen Gems was that Reed herself play a role a bit more familiar to television audiences, a loving mother and housewife. The idea stuck, and thus, The Donna Reed Show, a show centered around an unsubtle mother figure, had been successfully envisioned and created. It debuted on the television network ABC on September 24, 1958. Reed's character, Donna Stone, was married to a pediatric physician named Alex Stone, played by Carl Betts. The couple lived in a small-town household in the suburbs with a daughter named Mary, played by Shelley Fabares, and a son named Jeff, played by Paul Peterson. Ratings had been initially low due to being in a competing time slot with reruns of Milton Berle's live-aired comedy program, The Texaco Star Theater. The low ratings nearly generated a premature cancellation of the series. The show was instead cut to float by their Campbell Soup sponsorship and being adjusted to a new time slot. With the time slot change, popularity began to grow considerably by the second season. Between 1959 and 1962, Reed for the show was nominated for 4 Emmy Awards. In 1963, Reed won a Golden Globe Award for Best Female Television Star for Season 5 of the show. The situational comedy ultimately ran for a total of 275 episodes over 8 seasons between 1958 and its final episode on March 19, 1966. During its run, some episodes explored controversial topics such as matriarchal strength and interracial relationships, while others featured guest stars, professional baseball players, and managers such as Willie Mays, Don Drysdale, and Leo DeRocher. The show underwent casting changes during its run, with Bob Crane joining the main cast in Season 6 as next-door neighbor, friend, and fellow doctor to Alex Stone, Dave Kelsey.
Dave, there's somebody in the house. It may be a cat burglar.
It's our luck. We don't even have a cat.
Dave, did you hear it?
It's in the kitchen.
I smell cooking.
Nobody likes to rob a house on an empty stomach.
Oh, Dave.
He left the show to star as the title character in the successful television series Hogan's Heroes. Paul Peterson's sister Patty Peterson joined the show in 1963 to replace Shelley Fabares, who voluntarily left the show to pursue different acting roles. Patty Peterson played Tricia, an adopted child of the Stone family. The cast grew fond of each other over their run, particularly between Reed and the actors who played her fictional children. Shelley Fabares recalls that Reed would take her aside to ease her fears and anxieties when she would have hesitations at doing a scene that made her fearful. After the cessation of the show, Donna moved into expressing her socio-political ambitions more by becoming a notable peace advocate. She was a founding member and key correspondent of Another Mother for Peace, a nonprofit organization started in March 1967 by Reed and a small group of women in Beverly Hills who were in opposition to the escalation of the Vietnam War by U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson's administration. Historically, Reed was a registered Republican who was also an anti-nuclear warfare advocate, expressing negative opinions about the use of atomic bombs on the relatively non-military Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. Coincidentally, Reed's high school teacher Ed Tompkins was hired to work on the Manhattan Project, which was the project in which the Little Boy and Fat Nan bombs, the atomic bombs used on Nagasaki and Hiroshima respectively, were constructed. Tompkins also became a fierce advocate against the progression and glorification of nuclear warfare. In the 1964 U.S. presidential election, Reed was a public supporter of Republican candidate Barry Goldwater against incumbent Lyndon B. Johnson. In 1968, she went across party lines to support Democratic presidential candidate Eugene McCarthy, who was a strong opponent against continued military intervention in the Vietnam War. Reed was a very active supporter of McCarthy, assisting him with campaigning in the race to try to secure the Democratic nomination, which McCarthy ultimately was unsuccessful in acquiring, losing the nomination to U.S. Vice President Hubert Humphrey. Donna Reed was once quoted stating her ambitions for the abolishing of the military draft, stating that she wanted a time where 19-year-old boys will no longer be taken away to fight in old men's battles. In 1971, Donna Reed and Tony Owen brought an end to their 25-year marriage, divorcing each other due to clashing personalities between them. Reed claimed that she hung onto the marriage because she once couldn't bear the idea of small children having a stepfather. Reed was additionally quoted, stating, "Getting divorced was terrible, but it was also terrible being married." Donna Reed was able to once again find long-term love with Grover Ismoose, who served as a colonel in the U.S. Army and is an aide to U.S. Army General Omar Bradley. Ismoose had met Reed in 1972, and he very quickly grew romantic feelings for Reed. The two began a relationship, and Ismoose began proposing marriage to Reed every day for around 3 straight years. When Reed and Ismoose were in a restroom one day, Reed finally accepted Ismoose's proposal. The couple would marry on August 30, 1974. The marriage would last until Reed's death. Reed would retire from acting during most of the 1970s, so raising her children and activism would be primary focuses. She would make a few television acting appearances towards the end of her life. This included the television movies The Best Place to Be in 1979 and Deadly Lessons in 1983. She would have a guest role on 2 episodes of the long-running ABC television series The Love Boat in February 1984. Her last role would be a supporting role as the Ewing family matriarch Miss Ellie on the popular television drama series Dallas. She was hired to replace the original actress who played Miss Ellie, Barbara Bel Geddes, who couldn't continue the role due to her undergoing significant cardiac surgery. Reed would portray Miss Ellie for one lone season, season 8 of the television program between 1984 and 1985. She was abruptly fired from her role in 1985, with Bel Geddes returning to play Miss Ellie. Donna Reed then angrily sued CBS on the grounds of breach of contract misconduct. Reed had signed a contract extension to continue playing Miss Ellie on the show in October of 1984. An initial contract was agreed upon in June 1984. Reed was reportedly attempting to receive her role back by repeatedly requesting a preliminary injunction of halting production of television scenes containing her character. Reed's lawyer, Michael Donaldson, had presented an argument in the lawsuit that Reed could only be substituted if she had fallen sick or had declared herself unable to fulfill the agreed contract between the two parties. Her request for a ceasing of Dallas production featuring her character was ultimately denied by a judge, who ruled the replacement was fair since a $1 million settlement where Reed would continue to receive her weekly revenue from her contract over the next 2 seasons was put in place. Reed would not see through that settlement payment, dying before the end of her agreed Dallas contract. Donna Reed was known to have smoked during her life, which is one of the biggest risk factors for the development of cancer, particularly in areas such as the lungs, pancreas, bowels, head, and neck. She was reported to have experienced recurring bleeding abdominal ulcers during her life. She would reportedly begin suffering another group of abdominal ulcers again in late 1985. She was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles on December 10, 1985. While she was admitted to treat the ulcers, it was uncovered by doctors that she had developed late-stage pancreatic cancer. Despite the diagnosis, Reed remained noticeably optimistic, opting to receive any available treatment that could treat her. She reportedly received symptoms of pancreatic cancer as early as October 1985. She was allowed to return home just in time for Christmas that year. Less than a month later, on January 14, 1986, Donna Reed would pass away at her Beverly Hills home from her cancer. Reed died at the age of 64, just 13 days from what would have been her 65th birthday. Donna Reed would have a small memorial service at Beverly Hills Presbyterian Church on January 18, 1986. Some fellow celebrities, along with loved ones like Grover as Moose, Reed's children, and Reed's siblings, attended the service. Reed's remains are currently interred in Section D of Westwood Memorial Park in Westwood, California. After her death, the Donna Reed Foundation for Performing Arts was established in her Denison hometown. The organization's purpose is to immortalize the life achievements of Reed while also assisting individuals with great potential and capabilities to pursue suitable educational opportunities through sponsored scholarship programs. The foundation also supports art, musical, and theater venues and performances,